time, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers?
Here.
Mr. Reynolds?
Here.
Ms. Walden?
Here.
Ms. Shinholster?
Here.
Dr. Lee?
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum present. If you will, please stand for the prayer and pledge, and I know you all don't mind hearing someone else other than myself sometimes, and I saw Dr. Wicker walk in. So, Dr. Wicker, do you mind blessing us tonight? Thank you.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for those who have assembled here in this place. And we ask, Lord, that you will be with everyone. As the business of the city is taking place, we ask, oh God, that you will bless each family represented, each council person, the mayor, all, oh Lord God, we ask and we do pray. And thank you for these blessings, we ask. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dr. Wicker. So at this time, we do not have any awards and presentations tonight. So I'm going to move ahead and go into the adoption of the minutes. Hold on. You all have received a copy of the minutes of the June 14th, 2022 regular council meeting minutes and July 5th, 2022 called council meeting minutes. Are there any corrections? Do I hear a motion to adopt the minutes as presented?
So moved.
To adopt. Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Dr. Lee?
All right. The minutes of both meetings are adopted as official. We have one public hearing tonight to consider, and that's ordinance O-2205-06 that will amend the Land Development Code to rezone 120 North Clark Street from NOC to SFR1 and allow for a special use as a group residence with up to 8 individuals living there. The procedure for conducting the hearing to amend the Land Development Code will be as follows. Once it has been determined that this public hearing has been properly posted and advertised, the clerk will read the proposed amendment to the Land Development Code. We will then hear a report from the Planning and Zoning Administrator, including the advisory decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Council will first hear from the applicant and anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the amendment. We will then hear from anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the amendment. If anyone speaks in opposition to the amendment, we will then give the applicant an opportunity for rebuttal. But the rebuttal must be limited to the points or issues raised by the opposition. We will then give the opposition the opportunity to speak in rebuttal. They too must limit comments to the points or issues raised. Please make sure that before you speak that you give your name and address for the record and that you step to the podium at that time. Mr. Clerk, has the public hearing been properly posted and advertised?
Yes, ma'am, it has been.
Okay, I will ask the clerk to please read ordinance O-2205-06 by caption.
An ordinance amending the ordinance passed and adopted on the 10th day of December 2002, known as the Land Development Code of the City of Milledgeville, Georgia. The ordinance rezones and allows a special use of property located at 120 North Clark Street from NOC to SFR1 and allows a special use for 8 residents.
At this time, I'll recognize the zoning administrator for her report.
Good evening. This property is right across the street from the Student Union Center at 120 North Clark Street. It was originally a single-family dwelling. A few years back, Mr. Simmons wanted it rezoned to NOC so he could rent it to offices for Georgia College and State University. It's my understanding now they will be no longer needing the offices, so now he's wanting to rezone it back to SFR1, but with the group residence for 8. This is within the overlay for group residence, so he can just directly ask for the group residence overlay. And in your packet, you have all received a PowerPoint, which I just handed out. That's in color. I think the packet wasn't. And there's also a letter from Mr. Sims' attorney, Matt Rossing. He wanted to make sure the letter was introduced into the record for the hearing. And the vote on this was 3-1 to approve. Any questions? Am I good? Okay, thank you.
At this time, I will remind anyone who wishes to speak to come to the podium and state your name and address for the record before speaking.
Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Matt Ressing. My address is 248 Swint Avenue. I'm representing the applicant. I'm here tonight to talk about 120 North Clark Street, a 1930s yellow brick building right across from the Georgia College Student Union. It's a huge home, and it went through an extensive renovation just recently. The chimneys were repaired, a new roof was put on, completely new electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and insulation. A commercial-grade fire prevention system was installed. The entire interior was renovated with all the historic features maintained. This house has the biggest lot on the block and a large off-street parking area. Tonight we're asking for 2 things related to this house. Both of these things were approved by the Planning and Zoning Board. First of all, we would like to rezone the property from NOC to SFR1. This is simply a reversal of a rezoning that was previously done in 2007. As Ms. Graham mentioned, the purpose of that 2017 rezoning was to allow Georgia College to rent it as an office building and an alumni event center. And they occupied the house for 5 years. For the past 5 years, everything worked out very well. The reason we're asking to revert to the prior residential zoning is that the Georgia College Foundation is not planning to stay another year. So this rezoning was done just for this one particular tenant. And now that they're leaving, there's no reason to have it as commercial. As you know, commercial office space is becoming less and less important, more people working from home, whereas there is a real desperate need for more residential housing. Fortunately, when this renovation was done, the house's floor plan was very carefully maintained. So it has been maintained with the interior and exterior appearance of a single-family home, and it will stay that way. The only difference is that the wiring, plumbing, etc. are all now built well beyond the standards of what is required for residential. So it not only applies, it's perfect for residential use, it's above and beyond that. This whole neighborhood is residential, and therefore we're asking that you approve the rezoning from NOC to SFR1. The second thing we're asking for tonight is that you approve this house as a group residence for 8 people. Under the Milledgeville Land Development Code, there is no limit on the number of related people that could live in a house like this, but there can be no more than 3 unrelated residents. So even though this huge home could safely and comfortably accommodate 8, 10, or even more people, without a special use, a group residence use, they have to be related. But this house is more space than most families need. It's very expensive to properly maintain, and you also have to consider the location. It's in a college-focused area. It is right across the street from the Georgia College bus stop and the Georgia College Student Union. It is completely surrounded by student rental properties and Greek housing. In fact, this entire block that it sits on is residential property. So it's very desirable to college students, but not to most single families. By approving a group residence, you get control over it in a way you do not have control over any other rental property in the city or even a non-rental property. You get to perform yearly inspections for safety and code compliance. Again, something you don't get with any other property. I'd like to draw your attention to the slides to the presentation, just a few pictures of the home. As you can see, it's been beautifully, immaculately restored. And I also wanted to see with these first few pictures, just show you the size of the home. There's significant space, 2 floors, and on the third page you can see there's already an extensive paved parking area. This is another thing that's required for group use housing. They have to have off-street parking. So in fact, all the residents in this home will have off-street parking. They will not need any on-street parking. And the parking is in fact shielded from view of the street. The parking is around the back of the house. Council had a discussion back in 2013 about this unrelated person rule. And they decided, you decided, that as a compromise, you would establish a particular area where group residences would be allowed, with conditions like the annual safety inspections. And the group use overlay, the area that you decided would be appropriate for group residences, is on this map on your 4th page. So if you take a look at this map, you see that 120 North Clark is in red. It is in the middle of this group use overlay and is directly adjacent to Georgia College areas. Now, why this area? Why was this particular area chosen as appropriate for group use? This area was specifically selected by the city attorney and the zoning administrator back in 2013, and it was approved by council unanimously because it was located right next to the college and was traditionally used for student housing. There are already a number of approved group residences here. They're marked in green, as well as a number of group houses that are grandfathered in. So you can't see it on this map, but there's actually 2 grandfathered apartment complexes in this area. In fact, on the same block as the house we're talking about. So the entire block is student rentals, group housing, apartment buildings. There's several Greek houses, and there are only 3 owner-occupiers in the entire group use area. Not this block, but the entire area that's marked here. And there are none on the block we're talking about. It is all student rentals. It has been for some time. So, we are asking you to approve a group residence in the exact place that you said it should be. Right across the street from Georgia College, right across the street from the dining hall, the student union, and the bus stop. The existing parking lot, and here you can take a look at, if you look at the next picture, you can see this is the view from the front porch. It's the college, it's the dining hall. If you look at the next few pictures, they show you pictures of the extensive parking area. Parking is not going to be a problem. It can easily accommodate the residents and their guests. We not only have a paved parking area that's sufficient for the group use we're asking for, there's also a significant gravel parking area in the back. It's very carefully maintained. And then if you look, there is still an ample amount of green space that will remain. There's basically a park in the backyard of this house. It has a huge yard. There's no question that this house is suitable and safe for 8 people. It has 8 bedrooms, 4.5 large bathrooms, a top-notch central kitchen area, and the electrical, plumbing, and HVAC were recently built to the highest standards. Huge yard, which Georgia College used for events without any complaints from neighbors. 2 Greek life houses directly behind it, and the entire block, once again, is student rentals. In summary, this is the ideal property for group use. It is where you said it should be. It has all the things you said should be present for group use. It meets all of the criteria set in your rules for approval of a special use. And therefore, I respectfully request that you affirm the decision of the Planning and Zoning Board and approve both the rezoning from NOC to SFR1, as well as the group residence for 8 persons. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this amendment?
Opposition.
Opposition. Are there any comments from council?
Question, if I could. I just wanted to know, you're going from a institutional setting within the home to residential, and what you're going to have to do to make that transition.
There's actually very little that will need to be done. So when this renovation was done 5 years ago, around 2015, the single-family character of the home was maintained. So what will now be bedrooms were offices, and they have everything that you need in there. Now, the homeowner has been working with the Planning and Zoning Office. All the building plans have been already approved. Everything has gone through HPC. So there's nothing that needs to be done that has not already been approved, and most of it is already in place.
Full kitchen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because this
which
was,
you normally don't see within a...
but this was used for
office
catering.
space.
So it was used by the Georgia College Foundation for alumni events. So they actually made use of the large kitchen that was put in for them, and it is entirely adequate for the use of 8 persons.
Okay. Thank
I have
you.
one question.
Please.
From the picture here, it's showing there were 4 parking places and 2 for handicap. So you saying there's other spots for the people?
There is more than that. You can't see everything from the pictures. It's a little hard to see from the angle. But as one of the requirements when we first submit an application, Ms. Graham comes out to the property to ensure that there is adequate parking. So she has already approved this as having the parking that is necessary.
Okay.
Is that correct?
There's another home walking behind that. I don't know if the picture shows
Okay.
it, but there's plenty of parking.
Okay, all right.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I really do appreciate you highlighting the area that we designated for the overlay, because there was a reason why we did it. I agree with you 100%. There is a reason why we did that, and I appreciate you highlighting that in your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any further questions? All right, this concludes the presentations of the evidence in this public hearing. Is there a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Second.
So, yeah.
Properly motion and second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
That concludes the public hearing and items under old business. We can now move to new business and ask the clerk to read ordinance O-2207-08.
This is to conduct the first reading of an ordinance amending the Land Development Code to allow a special use of property located at 1211 South Main Street. This property is currently owned by Linton McKnight and Zone CC. Applicant desires a special use for a car lot with 15 cars.
This is the first reading, and I'm assigning this ordinance to Planning and Zoning, the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll ask the clerk to read Resolution -2207-23 by caption, please.
A resolution authorizing an agreement with Terracon to conduct a limited site investigation to assess potential contamination and possible buried materials at the Central State Hospital Fuel Center.
You have heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt?
Make a motion, we adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'll just mention, I don't think that I've shared this with y'all via email. This is phase 2 environmental evaluation for the property we're looking at.
All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Motion carries and the resolution is adopted. We have 2 alcohol license applications to consider. I will ask the clerk to present the first application for J.K. Enterprises.
This is for John Kill Kim on behalf of J.K. Enterprises, located at 201 South Wayne Street, and it is for beer and wine retail package to go.
You have heard the application. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden, Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Motion carried and application is approved. The second application is for Shiva 891, and I will ask the clerk to please present the application at this time.
This is for Tahir Kareem Khan on behalf of Shiv 891 Incorporating, doing business as Discount Store, located 891 South Wilkins Street for beer, package to go.
You have heard the application. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Motion carried and the application is approved. Next, we have appointments to make to the Planning and Zoning Commission and Allied Arts. I am nominating Mr. Mackenzie Davenport for reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission representing District 6. Is there a motion to confirm this nomination?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Council, the clerk copied you on an email from staff at Allied Arts advising this council that Bruce Gentry no longer wishes to be a member of Allied Arts. At his request, I am removing his name for consideration to be reappointed to this board. We can move on to the Allied Arts appointments that do want to be on the board. I'm nominating Ms. Willie Mae Moore for reappointment to the Allied Arts Board. Is there a motion to confirm this nomination?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
The appointment is confirmed. I am nominating Ms. Kyle Rick for the appointment to the Allied Arts Board. Is there a motion to confirm this nomination?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
And that's a reappointment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, a reappointment to the Allied Art Board. Is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
The appointment is confirmed. I am nominating Dr. Audrey Crumbly for appointment to the Allied Arts Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
The appointment is confirmed. That concludes the items on the agenda for this meeting. Is there any further business that needs to be addressed tonight? Does anyone on council have any announcements or comments? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Adjourn. Second.
All right, the meeting is adjourned.